John was a bright young student in Malawi. As a teenager, he was handpicked by local leaders of his faith tradition to study at a school in Zanzibar, Tanzania. The goal was for him to learn how to go into unentered areas and create new followers. During his time there, he learned a lot about his own religion, and the next step was for him to also learn about Christianity, since he would be interacting with Christians regularly.
After 3 years, they said you go back home and you research the King James Version, this one. You go there for that one, special for the King James Version. Why King James Version? Because they do believe that the King James Version have got a good explanation than the other version.
John enrolled at an Adventist school and joined a youth group. He attended all the classes and engaged with pastors in discussions about Adventist beliefs. All the while, he was sending reports back to the religious leaders in Zanzibar.
Eventually, after 3 years, studying at Rwaz Mission, the Seventh Adventist Mission, this is where now I come to say, I do understand the Bible.
John felt convicted to give his life to God and was baptized at a camp meeting. After his baptism, he stopped sending reports to Zanzibar. John's father was furious.
My father, to him, it was an ambition that I was to go to Zanzibar, and when I come back from there, they respect me. So to him, it was a privilege that, my son now has gone higher. So when he heard that I have converted into Christianity, and now I have been baptized into Seventh Adventist, to him, it came like a blow.
But despite rejection from his family, John continued to pursue ministry. Eventually, he was chosen to be a global mission pioneer.
So they picked me to put him into global mission pioneer. Can you see now? To go into and enter the areas. So can you see, the first mission wanted me to go and enter the areas. They had the same idea. God just intended to go to Seventh Adventist and be a global mission pioneer.
He ministered for 10 years as a pioneer, following Christ's method and sharing his testimony with people he met. John hadn't finished his education yet, so he enrolled at Malawi Adventist University.
I wanted to pursue my degree. Graduated in 2018. So I appreciate God. I thank God because I'm now a graduate, and now I know many things than before.
From his teenage years to his time at the university, John knows firsthand the difference Adventist mission schools make in people's lives. This quarter, a portion of the 13th Sabbath offering will go to help build a community outreach and leadership development center on the campus of Malawi Adventist University. Please pray for those involved as the project develops. Pray that more students like John will come to know Jesus through Adventist education. Thank you for supporting mission through 13 Sabbath offering projects like this.
So today, let's talk about a space that's called the land between. Now, the land between is about uninvited and undesired space. And often we find ourselves catapulted into the land between in a single conversation, and sometimes in a single sentence. I mean, it's the phone that's ringing at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we answer and we hear those words, "There's been an accident." And suddenly life as we knew it is on hold. I mean, life as we knew it is suspended. It's a woman sitting in the doctor's office and she hears the words, the tumor is malignant and time seems to stop. Sometimes we enter the land between as if we've been thrown from a moving train. We find ourselves suddenly in the vocabulary of cancer treatment, the valley of the suddenly single, the land of the grieving. And I'm not a stranger to this place called the Land Between. It was in November of my 7th grade year that I awakened one morning to learn that my mother had been killed in an automobile accident the night before. Now, at the time, my mom and dad had 5 kids. My older sister was 13, I was 12. My younger brothers were 9, 4, and 2 months old. And the 2-month-old lived through the accident that took my mom's life. Now, to say that those days were disorienting or confusing is an incredible understatement. We lived in the western states, and shortly after my mom's death, my dad moved us to the Midwest, where he met and quickly married a 21-year-old recent college graduate. So now there's the insertion of a very young stepmom. Then after that, moved from the Midwest to California. And so all of life had been so similar in my growing up years up to the 7th grade. And then one funeral, one wedding, and 2 cross-country moves later, everything had changed and then changed again. And I think it might be fair just to ask the question, what might our good and gracious God be designing such space to do? What might He have planned for us in such difficult, challenging, barren, desert space? Now this image of the desert, this image of the wilderness, this plays a prominent role in our Bibles. Very early in the story of the Bible, there's a group called the Israelites, and they have been enslaved for generations in Egypt. But under the leadership of Moses, they exit Egypt and they're headed toward a place called Canaan. It was the land promised to their ancestors. But between the land of slavery and the land of promise, they had to navigate the wilderness, the Sinai desert, and they will spend years there. And what we learn from that time in the desert, the plan was for them to experience God at His very best in that desert space. You see, the desert is about shortage. And here they were to learn that their Lord was the God who provides. The desert is about uncertainty. And here they were to learn to follow the God who leads. The desert is difficult space, and here they were to learn the trustworthiness of their rescuing God. In the desert, the space that we hate, we often have the opportunity to experience God at His best. And so my prayer for you today, those of you navigating the land between, may God be near you. And may you experience His closeness. May He meet you in this challenging space. May the desperate landscape of the desert produce a harvest that you never imagined. May God be pleased to meet you powerfully in the land between.
peace, rest. What powerful words. Words we need to hear and experience as we continue battling a tenacious virus in a global pandemic. We're tired, we're anxious. But what if we were to find peace in the midst of the waiting? Have you ever noticed how many times in the Bible God commands us to rest, to fear not, to be at peace? One of my favorites is an invitation of Jesus in Matthew 11, where he invites us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." We can have this rest, we can have this peace, because he is God, and he is all-powerful, and he loves us, and he is preparing a place for us. We can find rest because he is with us and will never leave us or forsake us. Listen to the words of this song and hear them as an invitation to come, find peace, and to rest.
In the quiet of the morning, when the dew is freshly fallen, I can feel your presence calling out to me, telling me how much you love me as the sun comes shining through. I'm so thankful to have one more day from you. And it's moments like these when I fall to my knees and pray to you. I need to take the time if I want you in my life now and then, won't you? I will cherish every moment you have blessed, so I can rest, so I can rest. So many times we forget the cost that was paid to set us free. Let's love and support each other. Together we can change humanity. And it's moments like these when we fall to our knees and pray to you. We need to take the time if we want to change our lives now and then, won't you? We will cherish every moment you have blessed, so we can rest. We can rest. It's moments like these when we fall to our knees and pray to you. We need to take the time if we want to change our lives now and then, won't you? We will cherish every moment you have blessed. Yes, I'll cherish every moment you have blessed. Oh, we'll cherish every moment you have blessed, so we can
We're all in this together. How many times have we heard that phrase over the past few months? It may sound good, but the painful reality is few of us feel together. Instead, we feel isolated and lonely. Loneliness has been a growing mental health epidemic for years, but now we're experiencing it more than ever. While some crises can bring us together, this one has separated us. We see each other on computer screens or from behind a mask. We practice social distancing, and as a result, we don't feel social, but distant. Earlier this year, as the shutdown orders were just being implemented, I moved from Denver to Kansas City to begin working in a new role. My wife stayed behind in Denver to finish her job and sell our house. I was alone, apart not only from my soulmate, but also from a social network of 20 plus years. While I was surrounded by a wonderful team, there were times when I felt isolated and alone. The Apostle Paul was no stranger to this feeling. At the end of his life, he was confined to a Roman prison. He had been abandoned and betrayed. In his loneliness, he wrote a letter to his dear friend Timothy. 2,000 years later, you could still hear his pain. He wrote, "Do your best to come to me quickly, for Demas has deserted me, Crescens has gone to Galatia, and Titus to Dalmatia. Only Luke is with me. At my first defense, no one came to my support, but everyone deserted me. But the Lord stood at my side and gave me strength." There are lessons we can learn from Paul's experience. First, we may all feel loneliness at times due to circumstances out of our control. We may not be in prison, but issues like distance, loss of a loved one, or stay-at-home orders can all add to our loneliness. But Paul's experience also reminds us that God will be a source of strength. He wrote, "The Lord stood at my side and gave me strength." So how can we tap into God's strength when we're feeling alone? First, recognize when you're lonely. For some reason, none of us like to admit to being lonely. There's a stigma attached to it, so we mask our feelings by telling ourselves we're tired or burned out. Or we don't think we could be lonely because we're constantly surrounded by people. But loneliness isn't about being alone, but more about feeling disconnected, isolated, or that you don't belong. So the first step to address our loneliness is to recognize when we're feeling disconnected or that we don't belong. Second, talk to God. He is always there for you. You could talk to Him and tell Him how you're feeling and be confident He is with you and He hears you and He cares for you. Third, intentionally connect with others. It's easy to fall into a cycle of isolation. We feel disconnected from others and therefore we stay disconnected. It takes a lot of energy to be positive and engage those around us. But it's exactly what we need to do. Smile at people. Say hello. Give someone a call. Break the cycle of loneliness by intentionally reaching out. Finally, lean into your workplace relationships. This has been key for me during these past months of being in a new place. I'm surrounded by good people 40 plus hours a week. I'm investing in relationships with these people I work with, and those relationships are feeding my soul and filling my cup. God wired us all for connection. When you feel like loneliness is setting in, recognize it, actively engage others, and tell God about it. He will give you the comfort and strength you're longing for.